school shooting takes place in Nashville yesterday, claiming the life of 6, including 3 children. Is artificial intelligence not good for the Jews? Is Florida the next biggest Jewish state? And how one man closed an entire country's airport. You'll hear all of that today on the Daily Thread. Okay, so the first story we're going to lead with, obviously, is the troubling news out of Nashville where a 28-year-old shot up a Christian school, claiming the lives of 3 9-year-olds and 3 people over the age of 60. A manifesto was left. This seems like a case of, I don't know, you want to call it domestic terrorism? I don't know exactly what you want to call it, but it's a terrible, terrible thing that happened over there in Nashville. Something that was odd, not really related to the actual shooting, which was of course terrible. But yesterday, Fox News had Joe Biden coming down to speak in the White House and address the tragedy. And I don't know if he didn't realize what he was coming to speak about, but he started talking about ice cream for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, chocolate chip, his favorite chocolate chip ice cream actually is what happens to be his favorite. I saw the clip also last night on the news, and it was shocking, to watch the president coming out at a time of a tragic attack like that you just described that took place in Nashville. Like you said, a 28-year-old young woman, and I think I read that she was a former student of the school, but 15 years ago she was a student at the school.
And I also read that this is not the only location that this person planned to shoot. She had ammo in her car, ready to hit up other locations.
I think she. I heard this morning that this school wasn't her top priority either. She went someplace else first, but there was visible security, so she left and went to this school where there wasn't security outside the school. The doors were locked according to the protocol that is supposed to be taking place to protect schools and so on and so forth. Well, so the secondary debate, Nachi, here is whether to have visible and real armed security outside all of our schools. And the other side of that debate, which I also read about this morning in one of the newspapers, I think an editorial in the Wall Street Journal, the other side of the debate is whether you want to see children coming to school, which is supposed to be a largely innocent type of experience as a person grows up as a child and then as a teenager into adulthood, whether they want to have this memory in their minds that they're coming to a school that's protected by military or police that are heavily armed.
Listen, it obviously isn't ideal, and I don't know what type of effect it has long term, but it certainly is better than the alternative, which is not being safe. A locked door, I think, does very, very little when you have a shooter. Someone with a gun can very, very easily get by a locked door. The fact is, it didn't seem like there was any armed security in this school yesterday, unfortunately, and the result is 3 children and 3 adults killed. I think that the debate isn't whether there should be armed security outside the schools. I think for sure there should be armed security outside every single school. I think where the debate is going is, should there be teachers who are armed? It's an unfortunate discussion to have, but is this where we're at? We're trying to, parents want to be able to send their kids to school and know that they're going to come home at the end of the day and not be a victim of such a senseless crime.
Well, while you're talking, I'm picturing the yeshivas here in the 5 towns and I'm just picturing a few of them in my mind, and I know that just reviewing where you guys went to yeshiva and where your children, our grandchildren, go to yeshiva, they're all very, I believe, sufficiently and effectively and heavily protected by fencing, by armed personnel, not visible. You don't have to walk around with a machine gun strapped over your shoulder, like in Israel, you can go into Ben Yehuda for a falafel, and the guy in front of you online has an M16
rifle. No, but if you go to the shul in Bell Harbor, the Chabad, you have 4.
You turn that off.
You have 4 heavily armed security guards standing outside that shul.
Right. And you have to go through a metal detector.
Yeah, but for
to
me,
get
that
into the shul.
I don't get what the debate is. For me, that makes me feel safe. Why is there a debate of like should we have that? That makes me feel safe. No,
The real debate is once again a left-right debate, and the real debate is whether we should gun control. The real debate, I mean, is a gun control debate. Whether guns should be banned, should be illegal. That is the fundamental debate. What should the law say about guns? Now, half the population, there's a Second Amendment right, which means the Americans have a right to bear arms, essentially to protect themselves and to protect their families. Now, most people that are licensed gun owners are responsible people, and the arms that they have are either used for hunting, which is a sport. May not be a sport that we participate in, but it's a sport nevertheless, or to protect your family. The other side of the equation, from the perspective of the left, is that if you have a gun, you're going to do damage. But my argument there, by the way, is that if you have a disposition to do something criminal, to do some damage with a gun, it doesn't matter to you what the law is. If you're willing to kill people, what do you care what the law is? You get your hands on you can steal a gun.
Yeah. No. Listen, we wish condolences to everyone who passed and the families. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. It's something terrible that happened. There's no place for such evil in this world, and we hope to never have to speak about such an event ever again.
But let me just reiterate that it has happened a lot, way too often in the last few years, especially around schools. But again, the fundamental debate is about the legality of guns. That's what it comes down to. Not security, not metal doors versus glass doors, not security guards versus non-security guards. It's about gun control.
The next story I want to get to is about artificial intelligence. We know that 2023 has been the year of AI and ChatGPT. A study showed that 80% of American jobs will be, 80% of American workers, that is, will be affected and impacted by artificial intelligence. Now, that's scary. You know, your job can seriously be replaced by a, computer, an AI interface. But something that I want to really think about is artificial intelligence against the Jewish way? Like, as Jews, our whole the whole purpose of learning is to toil. It's to study. It's not to just get shot. It's to really, really sit in it. So, and that's how people become better people. That's how you improve.
Right. I think the idea is what you're saying when it comes to Limud Torah. The idea is to struggle to understand a Rashi or a Tosfos or a Gemara. It's like the father or mother that came to a PTA meeting and asked the Rebbe how their son's doing, and he gave a great report. He said, "Your son already doesn't understand 12 blot of Gemara."
Hey, listen, that's the first step. That's the first step.
The objective is not to understand it, to be a mavakesh, to constantly be pursuing the words of Hashem on a higher level through the study of Torah.
But here's the issue. AI, if used in a divrei Torah, or if used in a way that impacts Torah learning, is totally out of bounds.
Nachi, let me tell you something. Okay, not to digress too much. I took Regents. When there was no calculators yet, okay? You had to figure out the math problems on paper, and you had to submit the paper with the Regent.
They had Regents in the 1800s?
Yes, in the 1700s, they had one Regent.
Oh, wow.
Earth science, your favorite subject.
Very nice. Why is there? I didn't get that joke. Why is earth science my favorite subject?
Because I think you approach earth science like a piece of Gemara. You had to struggle to understand it.
Oh, okay. I think I did pretty well in earth science, but okay.
Oh yeah. Eventually you did pretty well, but that's not the point. You're going off topic. The point is that once upon a time you had to sit there with paper, and you had to figure out the problems, and you had to show the teachers or the people that were marking the regions how you figured out the problem. Now all you got to do is punch in numbers. So that was like the precursor. That was early artificial intelligence, a calculator.
Yeah.
Do you know how much? You know how much 16 times 149 is? No, you got to figure it out. But if you have a calculator, I can tell you that in 3 seconds.
What did you say? 16 times 149?
Yeah, you have a calculator there?
No, I don't have a calculator, but it's easy math. That's 2,384.
You just did it on a calculator.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways,
of course you did.
Nobody wants to see their job replaced by artificial intelligence, and I feel like as Jewish people, we're the people of the book, and we always have to remain the people of the book. And I think that stems beyond and outside of even Torah learning. We just have to constantly always we can't go fully in an artificial intelligence, because at the end of the day, society is going to be all in on artificial intelligence, and we need to remain, and we need to have real intelligence. And I think that's what keeps us a step ahead, is we use our brain.
Yeah.
And I think
we have to maintain the tradition of the fundamentals and the traditions that our fathers and our grandfathers and our great grandfathers practice. And there's a certain beauty to it. There's a nice saying that says, "The future of the Jewish people is in our past."
Very good. Well, speaking of the future of the Jewish people,
that could be the title of your episode today.
Could be.
Our future is in our past.
Does the future of the Jewish people look nice and sunny in Florida? Because is that going to be soon the number one Jewish state in America? And I'll tell you why. Because living in Florida, as of yesterday, this new bill was passed. Living in Florida will save you $8,000 per child per year in tuition costs. $8,000.
The state's going to pay the yeshiva $8,000 of your tuition bill.
I think the state's going to either pay the family, or they're going to give it directly to the yeshiva towards any grade from pre-K through 12th grade. $8,000 per kid per year. I mean, like, where do you sign me up? Like, do I have to move to Florida tomorrow?
I don't know the details of the law, but I would guess that they're going to, if you have X amount of kids registered to school, the state's going to pay the school directly, because I think it's asking for trouble if they pay you directly, and then you give the yeshiva post-dated checks for the next 5 years.
Well, you know what? I don't know. Maybe you're the only one that thought about it like that as a business opportunity to sort of get at the state.
No, I think that yeshivas need their money, and if the state is allocating money for yeshiva tuition and making it easier on parents, I think it's a great breakthrough.
It's tremendous. Why can't we have that here in New York?
Because we are a democratic state with left-wing liberals that are anti-religion.
Wow, that was a quick answer.
Did I explain that well enough?
I don't think you've ever explained anything as good as you explained that.
There you go. End of story.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, tuition here can cost, let's say you have a family of 5, you're looking at a nice bill of at least $60,000.
How much?
In tuition cost. At least $60K. 5 kids, no?
For 5 kids? Oh, it depends what school you go to. Tuition for a child, let's say high school, okay? I think it's higher here in the 5 towns than probably any place else in the country. I think it can go from $15,000 per kid to up to $35,000 per kid, depending on.
Okay, well, the $35,000 let's average it out at the 15 range. So yeah, 15 times 5. Ask AI about that, how much that is. It's a lot of money, and imagine if you're saving $8,000 per child, so you're only spending $7,000 per kid. That is tremendous. That's literally another. Depending on how many kids you have, that's like another set of income in your family. That's tremendous.
You could afford shmurmatz then,
Abba, is Nefesh B'Nefesh going to start making flights to Florida now?
I don't know. If you notice, look at the map of the United States. You see Florida is very large, but it's shaped very similarly to how the state of Israel is shaped.
Wow. You know what? This is I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. You think
you could use that for your headline also. Florida is in good shape. You could write.
Oh, very good, very good.
You can write that too. Listen, I'm just doing my job. My job. That's all.
And the next story I want to get to is how one man, shut down an entire country's air travel, an airport, and how he held tens and thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of civilians, of citizens hostage in an airport. That is
So
Pinchas.
what happened?
Pinchas Idan made a phone call, and he said
Okay.
he said no more flights are going out of Ben Gurion Airport until further notice. I will let you know when you can resume. Planes can land, but no more can take off. And he did.
Who did he call? Who did he call?
He called up. He is, I think, the minister of travel or something in Ben Gurion Airport or something like that's his position.
Okay.
And
okay.
he made a phone call and literally that stopped planes from taking off. He didn't consult with the minister of
Transportation.
transportation. He didn't consult with Knesset. He just made that decision. That's literally probably like an upper TSA member saying, "Okay, no more flights." You can't just make that decision. You can't ground an entire country's airport because you have a political belief or you are in line with the protesters. So, to be honest, I think it goes without saying this guy should be fired. But besides for being fired, he should probably be arrested. How is this not a form of domestic terrorism? You held an entire nation, an entire country hostage in an airport.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one thing we learned from these recent protest street demonstrations in Israel the last few days up until yesterday, and I think mostly either they stopped or they're out of the news. I'm not sure which one it is,
Yeah.
but I think they stopped mostly. But I think one thing we've learned is that everyone in Israel does whatever they want. It's almost like the Jewish communities in the United States. It's like a shul. The whole place is run like a shul. The guy does what he wants. If there's a rule that no one's allowed to have meat boards by the Kiddush on Shabbos, one guy comes in with a meat board because, he wants a meat board. So everybody does what they want, pretty much.
So this guy just made that call because he felt like it.
Well, obviously he was on he wanted to protest the Netanyahu government and their threat of passing new legislation that will affect how judges are appointed. And listen, an airport is a hub of the country. You know how many people were waiting to get on flights to get back to New York for Pesach.
Yeah,
I think they're all back on schedule.
People are planning their trips for months, and this one person didn't reach out to a board of directors, didn't reach out to anybody. He decided we're closing, we're not letting flights go out. To me, that's a crime. That's an arrestable offense, if you ask me. I don't know how someone can do that. How they can use their occupation as a way to protest and to just ruin the days of tens of thousands of people. It's so beyond me. I can't understand how something like that happened. But he should be held responsible.
You should know that part of the agreement between Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is the public security minister, who is the police department is under his control, under his rubric, so to speak. One of the deals is that he's able to create a national guard, a new force of 2,000 people that, the police are not following directions of the minister who's in charge of the police. They pretty much did whatever they wanted. They went on strike. They didn't enforce the law. They let people block the highways and into the streets because they too were protesting. Now, if you're going to run a country, you have to have a certain chain of command that has to be followed. And I think we mentioned yesterday in Syria or Russia or North Korea, if you don't follow orders, then you just don't exist in the next minute or two. So
Yeah.
he's the agreement that he got out of Netanyahu, according to one of his aides that I spoke to this morning, is a 2,000-person National Guard command that's going to work largely in Judea and Samaria, in places like Huwara, and they're also going to be able to work in a lot of Israeli cities that have a very large mixed Jewish and Arab population to keep the peace that the police largely stay out of. So we'll see if that concession. We'll see if it's worthwhile and if it changes matters on the street.
Well, those are our stories for today's Daily Thread. We appreciate you listening and joining in. Of course, if you have any feedback or any stories you want to see us talk about, make sure to email us or message on WhatsApp. But you can email us at thedailythread@meaningfulminute.org. And we will see you once again tomorrow.